The Ukrainian army continues to grow stronger day by day with its fight against Russian invaders. The ongoing conflicts in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions have increased their intensity in the new year. The war has spread all over the east of Ukraine. On New Year's Eve, there were very intense clashes on the eastern front. Russian troops tried to advance from eastern Ukraine but failed. Russia lost thousands of soldiers and tons of ammunition in the first week of 2023. Russia started its offensive with missile launchers on New Year's Eve. Russia targeted the fronts in Mykolaiv, Kherson, Donetsk and Luhansk regions. By occupying these regions, Putin was planning to expand into Ukrainian territory. But there was one thing Putin forgot. The Ukrainian army was getting stronger day by day in terms of military personnel and ammunition, with the support of Western and European countries. The Ukrainian army had deployed military personnel and equipment systems to the entire eastern region, along with the fronts where Russia was concentrated. Soldiers belonging to Russian troops in the region were being monitored by Ukrainian intelligence. On New Year's Eve, there were only a few minutes for all the clashes to take place. Ukraine entered the new year by destroying Russian missiles with its air defense systems. Almost all attacks of the Russian Air Force was blocked by the Ukrainian air defense. Ukraine's counterattacks caused fireballs to appear in the sky throughout New Year's Eve. Ukraine carried out many successful operations on New Year's Eve. One of these operations was an ambush by Ukrainian soldiers on Russian soldiers. Ukrainian soldiers destroyed a Russian tank platoon after a successful ambush. In this operation, which took place 150-200 kilometers behind the battlefronts, the Russian army lost dozens of tanks. The Russian army continues to suffer huge losses. Russia has suffered many losses since the first day of the war. Russia has lost more than 110,000 soldiers. It lost over 3,000 tanks, over 6,000 armored combat vehicles, and about 2,000 unmanned aerial vehicles. Having suffered great losses against Ukraine, Russia is now approaching the end. It is stated that Putin cannot solve the problem of soldiers and ammunition. Zelensky, on the other hand, has had many opportunities in the war because of his relationship with the leaders of Western and European countries. Recent videos shared on social media show some of the power of the Ukrainian armed forces. The latest videos show the equipment that Ukraine has acquired with the help of Western countries. Ukrainian soldiers fire these weapons in the video. According to the footage, the weapon they are firing is being used to destroy Russian tanks. It is claimed that there are very few tanks and armored personnel carriers left in Russia. The reason for this claim is the images shared on social media. In the latest images shared on social media, it is seen that tanks belonging to the Russian army and Soviet-made BTR-80 armored personnel carriers are destroyed by the Ukrainian Air Force. The use of Soviet-era equipment in the war is interpreted as the Russian army running out of military equipment, or that the army does not have modern equipment. The British Ministry of Defense made a statement while it was being said that Russia had a problem with soldiers and ammunition. In the statement, information about Russia's military mobility was shared. The ministry stated that Russian troops are trying to strengthen their positions in the city of Kremnina. This region was a region that was under the pursuit of the Ukrainian army to repel the invaders from the eastern front. Fighting intensified in this area. Kremnina is a city in the Luhansk region. Fighting has intensified in Luhansk and Donetsk regions over the past few months. Russia had also suffered heavy losses in Kremnina in recent weeks. Images of these losses have emerged. The footage shows the Ukrainian 59th Motorized Infantry Brigade destroying two Russian T-64BV model tanks. In the footage recorded with a drone, it is seen that the Russian tanks exploded violently and became unusable. Russia had to withdraw many of its troops from Kremnina. Kremnina is still under Russian rule. But after increasing losses, it seems that Russia's dominance here will come to an end. Kremlin is a very important city for both countries. Sergei Haidai, the governor of the Luhansk region, stated that if the Russians lose this region, they will lose their entire defense line, because this region is located in a strategic position on the Russian-Ukrainian border. Casualties mounted as the war intensified. Russia lost over 110,000 soldiers. The armed forces of Ukraine made a statement about the attacks and increasing losses. Important points were mentioned in the statement. The Ukrainian armed forces said that all the attacks they carried out were aimed directly at Russian targets. He also stated that this is the difference between the Ukrainian army and the Russian army, because the Ukrainian armed forces stated that Russia attacked civilians and made plans over civilian targets. Putin's attacks on civilian areas may be aimed at breaking the morale and motivation of the people, because Putin wants to break the will to fight of the faithful Ukrainian people who resist the occupation. The reason for this is that he has not been successful on the front line. When Putin fails in physical warfare, he tries to make psychological breakthroughs. But the Ukrainian people are getting stronger with every attack. They believe more. Putin continues to lose in every field. That's why the number of calls for negotiations from Russia is increasing. In the last week, as the war has intensified, Russian and Ukrainian leaders have expressed their openness to peace talks. In the last month or two, calls for peace negotiations have increased. This is because both countries have suffered in the war. Russia has been hit hard by Western and European sanctions. Russia is facing huge problems both militarily and economically. The Russian people are organizing demonstrations and protests almost every day for an end to the war. Russia is not giving up on its conditions for peace talks. Ukraine, on the other hand, does not accept these conditions. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba stated that peace talks can be held with the mediation of the United Nations. One of the latest statements about the peace negotiations came from Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Erdogan had a telephone conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. After the call, he stated that calls for peace and negotiations should be supported by a unilateral ceasefire and a vision of just solution. As calls for peace negotiations increase, so does the intensity of the war. Russia has retreated on many fronts. Ukraine continues its successful offensive. Fighting has increased in the eastern region. The war is spreading to more and more regions every day. It seems that the new year will bring many important developments in the Russian-Ukrainian war. Do you think Russia will withdraw from Crimea? How will Russia compensate for its losses on the Eastern Front? Will peace negotiations be concluded in the new year? We are curious about your views. Anka Daily News continues to share all the details of the war with you. Together with our team members who are experts in their fields, we prepare content by paying attention to the principle of accurate and impartial journalism. Our team includes video editors, graphic designers, copywriters, and researchers. Expert war commentators also support our team. You can support our work by clicking the super thank you button at the bottom of the video. Anka Daily News, all about the Russia-Ukraine war.